What's up guys, it's Aaron from GearUP and welcome to today's episode. It is March 25th, 2020 today. We're right in the middle of this whole pandemic thing and I hope this video finds you well. This time we're going to be talking about the Soundcore Liberty 2 Pros, these guys. And they landed on my porch a couple weeks ago because Anchor wanted me to let you know what I think about it. It's not biased because at the end of the day, it's all about you. I want you to have a good, smart buying decision about whatever I talk about. So let's find out more in a second. TLDR, I've been pleasantly surprised in some ways and totally floored in many ways with these things. Let's talk about this after these messages. Let's go. Guys, the pseudo-therapist in me suggests that we talk about the negatives first. You know, like clearing the room, get rid of all the bad stuff, the negative juju before we get to the positives. So the first thing that I do not like about the Liberty 2 Pros is there is no active noise cancellation. Maybe in the third version they might do that. Right now I understand it's a price point, $150. I don't think there'll be anything in this price range that have active noise cancellation that's good. The other thing that I wish they had was some kind of proximity sensor, you know, the sensor that when you take your earbuds off, the music stops, the touch control stop, whatever. But this thing does not have it. But there is a solution to that, and I'll talk about it later on in the show. Some of you may not like the size and the bulkiness of these things. They do kind of protrude out a little bit more than their usual earbud, but they do remind me of the Sony 1000XM3s as I mentioned earlier, so it's fine by me. But if you value things like discreetness and smallness, these may not be the earbuds for you. Now, if you're accustomed to smaller earbuds cases like those on the Samsung Galaxy Buds or Buds Plus, then you may have a problem with these on the Liberty 2 Pros. They are on the large side. They're fine by me because they are very similar to those on the Amazon Echo Buds or the Sony 1000XM3s, so they're kind of okay on a day-to-day usage. But now that I'm holding it up, it looks like, let me do this again. It looks like I'm holding a police badge. Sir, please step out of the car for me. Thank you. Over. Let's cue the B-roll where I do my bulge test and we'll see how it fits in my pants. These guys are probably not going to pass, but let's do it anyway. I'm a huge proponent for ergonomics, and one area that the Liberty 2 Pros fail greatly is the storage of the earbuds in the case. I'm not sure what logic the designers came up with that requires the user to spin them 180 degrees to get them charged and docked. Regular earbuds, when you think about it, at least most of them, when you take out the left earbud, for example, to put in the case, you do a little clockwise motion. Likewise with the right side, you do a little counterclockwise and get them back in the case. But with the Liberty 2 Pros, you have to do a little 180 degree finger gymnastics and try to get them in the case before the magnet grabs them. It is a huge learning curve. Sure, you can get used to it, but it's a huge learning curve. Not a fan of it. Let's jump right in and look at a case for the Liberty 2 Pros. My first impressions are for $150, these guys are really well put together, well built, and use high-grade plastics. It is grippy and very similar in feel to the case for the Sony 1000XM3s, which I really like. In terms of durability, these guys, I've thrown these in a backpack and manhandled this. And look, there's not a single scratch on the base or on the lip or anything like that I can detect. Pretty darn impressive. In terms of size though, look at this. These guys are huge. They're like a travel mouse or a bar of soap. And right next to the Galaxy Buds Plus case, you can tell the difference. Even side on, man, that's quite a drastic difference right there. At the front of the case are 3 LED lights for battery level indication. It is activated by pressing this button and you are shown right there. There are 2 charging technologies which thankfully are up to date. Qi charging right here, the coils are there, and USB-C. I find it strange that there is a lid or flap covering it, especially on devices that aren't water resistant, and this isn't either, and it's always fiddly to use, but at least you have 2 options right there. One of my favorite parts about this case is the lid. Check this out. Look at that. It is super awesome. It slides up and down. It's very strong as well. It is a nice mechanism. It's very fluid, and I use it as a fidget from time to time. It is pretty mesmerizing right there. But it does that little motion, and there sits the earbuds in a nice big cavity. I've taken one of the buds out so you can better see the space in here. But like all things black, it is really hard to film, and pardon me if these things are blurry a little bit. Left and right indicator right here, charging pins, and the cavity for the earbuds are huge. It has shiny plastic, which is a fingerprint and dust magnet. I don't really like that. But my favorite part besides the lid of this case is the magnets. They're the strongest I've ever had. My usual shake test reveals nothing. No wobbling, no shaking, no nothing. The sound you hear in the background is my furniture wobbling around. But this thing is strong. It holds onto it like crazy. And I really like how large the aperture is. Your fingers all can go in and just grab the earbuds out easily. So that explains probably partly why the case is so big. Alright, time to look at the earbuds. And these guys have a striking resemblance to the Sony 1000 XM3s, don't they? In shape and size and everything. And that's not a bad thing at all. It's a nice design to mimic. It makes it different from the crowd. You're not an AirPod clone or anything like that. It is really nice and refreshing. In terms of weight, it is 8 grams. It is on the heavy side for a true wireless earbud. But with a good fit, and they do fit really well, you never really feel it in the ear at all. And speaking of fit, yes, these guys, I had to mention, come with 7 pairs of earbuds, different sizes from extra small to extra large and medium plus, medium, large plus. It is crazy the amount of different fittings you can get. It also has 3 different kinds of wingtips, so there's no excuse to not have a good match or fit for you. These guys have no active noise cancellation or reduction of any kind. There's no gesture controls. They're all handled by a single physical button on each earbud. And at the bottom, there are 3 pins right here for charging. And there are also 3 different cavities that hold 4 microphones for phone calls. 1 here, 1 at the bottom, and 1 behind the earbud. Battery life is 8 hours per bud, which is pretty darn strong. Pulling off the earbud is very simple and easy because of the plastic inset right there. It's a stiff rubber, a stiff plastic. It's really nice and easy to put on, and you're greeted by a gold foil cover right here, shielding covering right here. It's really nice touch. The wingtips are really easy to take on and off as well, very grippy in your ear cavity. Whenever you swap out a new one, there is a locking nub right there at the bottom that you align with, so it's nice and simple. On the business end of things, Soundcore decided to make this a hybrid system. In the back here is an 11mm dynamic driver, which is pretty darn huge, 11mm guys, and is combined in the same axis as a Knowles balance armature, straight from hearing aids industry. And combined with this too, it directs the sound straight into your eardrum. I'll show you how well it works, or tell you about how well it works or not later on in the program. Alright guys, here's the Soundcore app that you use to customize all your Soundcore products. And to be honest, you don't have to install this to use the Liberty 2 Pros. Just connect it to the Bluetooth device and you can start playing music. But if you want to customize the sound or use Hear ID and set that up, I recommend installing this first. By the way, I have this running on my tablet on a larger screen so you can better see it. The device is already connected, so I have to do a quick handshake and it will take you to the splash screen, which as you can see, it is hideous. Plain and nothing is happening right here, but it is what it is. Here you see the left and right earbud battery levels. You can tap on that to show the battery levels. On the top right here, there's a hamburger button where you can check for firmware updates and use user manuals. Down here at the bottom of the screen are the equalizer and controller icons. And let's check out the controller screen real quick. And here's where you customize the physical buttons on each bud. You can customize the double tap and hold for 1 second, but that's about it. You can't customize the single tap or introduce a triple tap. Especially after we did the review of the Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus right there. The customization and all the experimental features that you can use for the buttons is pretty awesome. So it'd be nice if Soundcore could open that up with a few firmware updates or something. Now let's go home and check out the best part about this app and using the Liberty 2 Pro experience as a whole. At the top here is Hear ID, and here's a hearing test actually that tests your hearing based on your age and what you can or cannot hear. And it will run through a whole test, and actually here it will tell you the ambient sound of the room, whether it's too quiet or too noisy. And because I'm talking, it's saying it won't run the test properly. But once you find a quiet place and run it, it will try to pump up frequencies that you can't hear really well. So at the end of the day, your music that you're hearing is probably going to be customized and tailor-made to your hearing. It's pretty darn awesome. Everyone raves about it, of how well it works. Down here in the equalizer section, you have defaults that you can check out. This is what was available in the app right out of the box. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of them. Here's the Soundcore signature that comes preset, and this really makes the Liberty 2 Pro sound amazing. My other favorite setting is piano. If you want to listen to classical or jazz or anything, that's my next one to go to. But I usually stick with this, and that's more than good enough. But if you really want to tune it some more, here is your own customized 8-band EQ, and it's so plain and white. Oh my goodness, it's so boring, but it is what it is. Again, you can create and save profiles as you probably usually do with other apps as well. Now if you go back in here, this is new. This came out with a recent update last week, or earlier in the week actually, where they have presets from different music producer, Grammy Award winning producers. I had to go Google their names. I didn't know who they were necessarily. Some of you may, but they occupied different spaces in music categories. Like this guy was dance, EDM, and this was like country or pop or something like that. But you can check them out, and more are coming. It's pretty cool that Soundcore did this so that you can see what their favorite settings are. It's pretty nice. But overall, this is a really good experience in terms of setting your EQ. One thing I wish that they would do, say if you go to the default and say you like classical, I wish you can hold on it and go straight and tune the EQ of that rather than setting up my own EQ, because I would like to have a baseline. If I like to say if I want to start from Soundcore signature and adjust from there, that would be great. But right now, if you want to do equalize, you have to start from scratch. Basically, it starts with a flat curve and a flat line, and you have to start from there. I wish you can start from one of the presets. That would have been awesome. Intermission time. This guy now is going to shamelessly ask you for your help. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel by clicking the subscribe button down below. You know what to do, and the bell notification down below. It will help me bring you more content like this to watch if you enjoy it. Thank you in advance for your help. Back to the program. Alright, time for the positives, and this is where it gets interesting. There's one area that really surprised me and blew my mind in the Liberty 2 Pros, which is the sound quality. I was highly skeptical by all that stupid marketing jargon that they use, like, hey, we have 10 Grammy Award music producers that endorse us, and there's also a thing called ACAA, which is something Charlie Alpha something thingajigabob. It's important, and you have to listen. I'm gonna straight up say this and not care about the repercussions of it. The sound quality on these things are the best I've heard in earbuds that cost $150 or $200 or $250. They are that good. They are reference grade, and I'm not kidding. The sound and the music that comes out of it that you get to hear is one of the tightest, one of the most solid, one of the most balanced I've ever heard in a long time. Whatever they did, whatever magic or voodoo they did, the tuning is spot on. The 11mm drivers in the back that handles the lows are tight and all the way up. They never struggle. They go really low, but they don't sound overbearing either. The nose armature that handles or prioritizes the mids and the highs are so good and happy and light that you just want to keep hearing and listening to them. The only place that I can really nitpick is probably the mids, and that's just a little nitpicking. It's the mids, they're probably a little bit too bright. But other than that, these things are amazing. When I use my test songs, like the Raiders of the Lost Ark theme song, and a new one is the Canon by London Symphony Orchestra. The Canon part, the song, was so good. When you hear the strings and the trumpets or whatever, they are so clear. The staging is right on, right in the middle of your head, and it's so defined. I can't even describe it in words. I was blown away. Let's put it that way. When I went into this test being judgmental and being critical and being like apprehensive because of all the marketing jargon, and when I first played those songs after listening to the 1000 XM3s and the Echo Buds, which I kind of like, they're okay in the middle, these guys blew them away. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I really like them a lot. For the price, $150, you get sound quality like this. Man. And that's not the end of the story either. Soundcore seems to get that everybody's hearing is a little bit different. Say when you age, you start not hearing certain frequencies, or due to occupational hazards or birth defects, you don't hear certain frequencies. So what they came up with to compensate is something called HearID in their app. It's very similar to what Jabra did, but HearID is basically a hearing test that tests all the sound range and tests your hearing, and whatever you can't hear, it bumps up the amplitude and the volume of those frequencies so you can hear it better. Which a lot of people have tested it and it works really great. It doesn't work well for me because I have pretty good hearing, but the people I've let them test with they said it's good. It works. I can get behind a good battery, and in the Liberty 2 Pros, it's a healthy 8 hours of listening time and an additional 24 hours in case you need it, pardon the pun. And if you pop them in for a quick charge for 10 minutes, it gives you another 2 hours. Pretty impressive stuff. And it's rated at IPX4, which means you can work out, get it wet, get it in the shower for a bit, give it a quick dunking and it'll be fine. It's more than what I can say for the Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus. Those were embarrassing in this arena. Now, I've also found that the Bluetooth strength and signal is pretty solid in these guys. Video latency is almost non-existent, if at all. There's an only slight hiccup when I resume audio of any kind from the left to right earbud. There's a slight delay and pause before it syncs up again, but other than that, it's really nice and strong. Let's cut to the part where I test the Bluetooth distance. It's nice and strong and healthy. Alright guys, it's that time again for the Bluetooth distance test, and this time obviously on the Liberty 2 Pros. I have some tunes playing here on Spotify on my phone, my Pixel, and I'm going to put it down at the end of my deck and we're going to walk this way and see when it cuts out completely or starts breaking up. It has Bluetooth 5.0, so it has a specification of roughly 30 feet before it starts acting up. And previously when I tested the Echo Buds from Amazon, the Sony 1000X M3s and the Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus, they started cutting out just a little bit past line of sight. So there's the phone over there, just in case you forgot where it is. Just the past line of sight, when I ran around the house, right around here, they started cutting out. I'm not sure if you remember, if you see some of my other videos, it starts sputtering right about here. But the Liberty 2 Pros are still doing well right about here. Yep, they start sputtering, and so it's like an extra 5 feet or so from the other guys. So for what it's worth, the signal is much stronger on the Liberty 2 Pros. Well done, Anchor. Earlier I mentioned the app a couple of times, and I want to reiterate that I really love the customization in terms of the sound that the user can get to play with. There's the 8-band EQ, there's the presets, and even the presets from the Grammy Award music producers and their favorite stuff. So I really like that customization. And finally, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, which lies in the neutral zone somewhere and neither in the likes or the dislikes, which is the physical buttons on the earbuds themselves. And I'm going to let you decide where you stand on these things. There are a couple of things that I like and don't like about them. Let's talk about it real quick. The first thing that I like is that it's not a gesture button. That's awesome. It's not gesture, it's a physical button. You know when you hit it or you don't hit it. That's good. The other thing I do not like though is its limited customization. You can only customize the double tap and the hold. You can't customize the single tap, and there's no triple tap at all. I wish they had all of that. Another reason why I like these buttons is the position of them. Earlier I mentioned that there is no proximity sensors on these earbuds to pause the music, but that's not a problem in this case because when you take them off and you pinch them, you can press the button at the same time while you take them off and it pauses the music anyway. Well, that was my take of the Soundcore Liberty 2 Pro, guys. I really enjoyed my time with these things. So if you're in a market for a pair of true wireless earbuds that sound amazing, audiophile quality, although I wouldn't go mixing with them, audiophile quality, or if you're a person that just enjoys listening to music, or if you're a person that wants to know how music's supposed to sound like, consider this pair. For $150, they're a good value, they sound amazing, they look good, IPX4 rating that you can work out and get wet and sweat in it, and it has 8 hours of battery life, enough to last you a whole day. Although it doesn't have any kind of active noise cancellation, that's its only downside, but the fact that it sounds good, it looks good, it can withstand your daily use, and it is $150. I give it a thumbs up and highly recommend this thing. With all that said, thank you so much guys for being here and watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. And there are a couple ways that you can help me grow this channel and more importantly, bring you more content like this for you to watch. One way is if you visit my Patreon page right here and you can find out a couple ways that you can help, or the good old-fashioned subscribe and bell notification button. If you haven't pressed them or subscribed, please do kill and mash that button. And tell your friends and tell your family, just pass the word. And also remember, if you watch this video and you like it, thumbs up, and thumbs down. Thumbs down. And today is going to be more of a serious note with the pandemic going on. Thumbs down to those of you who are not washing your hands for 30, 40 seconds, depending on where you are. You're not practicing social isolation or keeping 6 feet from people. You're not sneezing into your arms or coughing to your arms. Shame on you. Thumbs down if you're not doing that. And thumbs up to you who are. But thumbs down to those of you who are not taking care of your neighborhood and helping the country and the state and your government, your towns to stay healthy and kill this thing, or stop this thing at least. So do your part and help people. But anyways, thank you for watching guys. I really love y'all. Remember to help somebody. There's more people in need of help right now. Stop in and check on your neighbors and the elderly and the sick. You don't have to be there with them. Just call them, message them, email them, whatever. Just do something nice for somebody. I love you guys and be good. Until next time. Whoosh!